You're an older man, perhaps in your 40s, 50s, or even 60s. Life has given you experience. You've seen the world, built a foundation, and possibly navigated personal heartbreaks. Then, a young woman enters your life. She's vibrant, lively, a touch wild, and somewhat enigmatic. For some reason, she offers your attention, not just superficial conversation, but genuine interest. Suddenly, you experience a renewed sense of vitality, a feeling you haven't had in a long time, whether you admit it or not. It's exhilarating, it's complimentary, and this is precisely where most men unknowingly begin to make critical errors. When an older man is drawn to a younger woman, something very specific occurs. He loses sight of his inherent completeness. He forgets that each doesn't diminish his power. His power lies in his years, his struggles, his accumulated wisdom. But in that surge of dopamine, he starts to adapt. He begins to soften his resolve, diminish his presence, attempting to integrate into her world instead of remaining firmly rooted in his own. This is when the dynamic shifts. She no longer sees a man, she sees a guy desperate to impress, trying to be cool, attempting to win her over. And just like that, the attraction fades. This video isn't about judgment, it's about clarity. It aims to help you preserve your dignity, your masculinity, and your self-respect when faced with admiration, temptation, or even a true connection. We'll discuss what to avoid when in the company of a younger woman and how a grounded man, a man fully in control of himself, would approach this situation differently. These aren't just dating tips. They're life strategies. So, if you're tired of feeling confused, manipulated, or sidetracked by someone who has lived less than half your life, this will be the unexpected wake-up call you needed. Stay tuned, because by the end, you'll understand precisely where men stumble and how you can ascend by doing less, not more. 1. Don't try to be her age. You are not her contemporary. A common mistake older men make with younger women is attempting to reduce themselves to her level, adopting her slang, dressing like her, or pretending to understand her pop culture references. While this often stems from a good place, or desire to connect, the actual outcome is the opposite. You lose the very qualities that made you intriguing initially. The moment you try to act like her peer, she ceases to see you as the composed, experienced, and grounded man you are and instead sees someone trying too hard. No matter how subtle you are, she will sense it. Women, particularly younger ones, have an acute intuition for authenticity. When an older man attempts to mimic her lifestyle to seem cool, it feels off, not because of the age difference, but because of the underlying insecurity. The truth is, your age is not a disadvantage, it's your strength. You've lived, you've faced setbacks, and you've overcome them. You possess a presence she doesn't yet comprehend, a profound, undeniable presence that only comes from navigating life's challenges. This is what draws her in, not your ability to perform a trending TikTok dance or quote her favorite Netflix show. Older men often feel they need to keep up, when in reality, the most attractive action is to slow down, be still, and be unwavering. Let her move freely around you while you remain steadfast in your core. Let me offer a practical example. Imagine you're on a date, and she mentions her obsession with some 23-year-old influencer. You could pretend to know who that is, laugh along, or even discreetly scroll your phone as if you follow them too, or you could simply smile and say, I don't really keep up with that stuff. I'm more interested in conversations that offer sense of discovery. That's what will genuinely surprise her in the best possible way. Not because you're trying to be like her, but because you're reminding her that you're not. This is the paradox. The moment you stop trying to be relatable, you become magnetic. 2. Don't become her emotional sponge. Another common pitfall for older men is becoming a younger woman's emotional sponge, absorbing all her turmoil, confusion, and past hurts in the name of being there for her. It starts innocently. She confides in you about her past, perhaps a bad ex, absent parents, or her journey of self-improvement. Because you're older and emotionally mature, you listen, you want to help. You might even feel that she sees something in you that boys her age lack. But gradually, you find yourself becoming her therapist, her emotional outlet, her late-night confidant when life feels overwhelming. And deep down, you might believe this is forging a connection, that you're the one who truly understands her, that she chose you. But the truth is, this isn't romantic bonding, it's emotional outsourcing. Women, especially younger ones, will unconsciously seek stability in older men. But if you mistake emotional caretaking for attraction, you'll end up in the most frustrating position possible. Friendship masquerading as intimacy. You'll hear about her poor choices, her disastrous dates, her mental health struggles, but none of it will lead to respect or desire. Why? Because a Stoic man doesn't entangle himself in drama to feel needed. He provides calm simply by existing. He listens without swooping in to fix things. He offers insight without emotional investment. There's a crucial difference between being emotionally available and emotionally absorbent. One is grounded, the other is neediness disguised as kindness. Imagine she's tearfully recounting her latest situationship. Instead of immediately going into problem-solving mode, you simply say, "That sounds like a lot. I hope you give yourself space to figure out." That single line signals your presence without being enmeshed. She feels seen, but is unable to latch on and pull you into her emotional storm. That's stoicism in action. It's not about being cold. It's about understanding the distinction between offering your presence and sacrificing your inner peace. A man who has mastered his emotions doesn't allow another's turbulence to derail him, no matter how appealing the storm may seem. 3. Never chase her validation. There is a subtle yet destructive mistake older men make with younger women, seeking their validation. This doesn't always appear as overt desperation. Sometimes it's hidden behind excessive compliments, over-explaining yourself, trying to provoke a reaction, or subtly seeking assurance that she still likes you. But the underlying energy is always the same. Do you approve of me? And when she senses the energy, the dynamic is compromised. Because no matter your age, status, or experience, if you are revolving around her opinion or her mood, you've given her the power. You've made her the judge, the prize, the one with the upper hand. And women, especially younger ones, are acutely sensitive to this imbalance. It's instinctive. They may not always be consciously aware of it, but they can feel when a man is subtly bending for their approval instead of standing firm in his own worth. A Stoic man does not crave attention. He doesn't need constant affirmation, recognition, or praise to feel centered. His sense of value is not up for negotiation. If she's interested, great. If not, also great. He moves forward regardless. This level of emotional self-sufficiency is magnetic because while other men are performing like court jesters, trying to elicit a smile or a heart emoji, he is simply being. He is unperturbed, and that unbothered energy isn't cold. It's rare, and rarity. As they say, imagine she leaves your message unread. A man seeking validation might double text, drop a vague comment, or say something passive-aggressive like, "Guess you're busy lol." But a grounded man, he doesn't even flinch. He's not playing games. But he's also not playing chase. Because he's not waiting to be chosen. He has already chosen himself. And that's what earns her respect. Back yourself first, pause, and ask why you're not reacting like every other man. When you stop pursuing a reaction, you become the one worth reacting to. Point 4. Don't try to impress. Lead instead. There is a significant difference between impressing a woman and leading her. Most men, particularly older ones trying to win over a younger woman, fall into the trap of the former. They start enumerating accomplishments, casually mentioning the car they drive, the places they've traveled, the money they've earned, or the connections they possess. While some of this might be impressive on paper, it rarely has the desired effect because women don't fall for your words. They fall for the way you move. Impressing stems from a place of inadequacy, It says, "Look at me, please approve." But leading says, "Here's where I'm going." You're welcome to join if it aligns with you. One seeks approval, the other offers direction. The more you try to prove your worth, the more you reveal that you don't fully believe in it. That's the paradox. A Stoic man leads by example, not by exhibition. He doesn't need to broadcast his worth. It simply manifests in the way he carries himself. She doesn't need a PowerPoint presentation of your achievements. She needs to feel your certainty, your clarity, your grounded presence. That alone creates gravity. A younger woman, especially one still navigating her own path, doesn't want to be dazzled. She wants to feel guided. And only a man who trusts his own path can provide that. Picture this: you're out to dinner with her. Instead of trying to impress her with success stories or subtle name dropping, you confidently order the meal. You make eye contact with the waiter and effortlessly lead the conversation without rushing or showing off. You ask thoughtful questions, not to impress her, but because you're genuinely curious about her. That's leadership. That's presence. And that's what will resonate with her. What young women truly respect at the end of the night isn't how much you earned last year, but how solid you felt in your energy. Impressing is about her. Leading is about you. And when you lead, she naturally follows, not because you asked her to, but because she desires to. Point 5. Don't project long-term fantasies early on. One of the most perilous things an older man can do when engaging with a younger woman is to prematurely project a future onto her before there's even a foundation. You go on a few dates, have some deep conversations, perhaps there's chemistry, even intimacy, and suddenly, in your mind, she's the one. You start imagining life if she moved in, how your friends would react, the kind of vacations you'd take her on, how you'd mentor her through life and foster her growth. It happens quickly, too quickly, and it usually stems from loneliness, a yearning for significance, or the hope that this woman will somehow complete you or imbue your life with new meaning. But what you're actually doing is constructing a fantasy out of thin air. You're not relating to her as she truly is. You're relating to the version of her you've conjured in your mind. Stoicism teaches us to remain anchored in reality, not in wishful thinking or romantic delusions. When you project long-term fantasies onto a person who has barely entered your life, you lose clarity. You overlook red flags. You ignore warning signs. And you start investing emotional energy into a story, not an individual. And here's the real danger. When she doesn't conform to that story, you don't just feel disappointed, you feel betrayed. But the betrayal wasn't hers. It was your own projection. A Stoic man learns to savor what's real, what's proven, not what's hoped for or imagined. Let's say you've been speaking with her for 3 weeks, and she's charming, spontaneous, and says all the right things. You catch yourself wondering what kind of mother she'd be or how she'd look walking beside you at family gatherings. Stop, pull back, remind yourself that all you know is the highlight reel. Remain curious, not committed, because it's easy to fall in love with potential, but genuine connection requires time, consistency, and clarity. A man rooted in himself won't rush to write the ending before he's even read the first few chapters. He stays present, detached, and observant, because that's how you see people, for who they are, not who you hope they'll become. 6. Don't be her backup plan or emotional filler. One of the most agonizing positions an older man can find himself in with a younger woman is becoming her backup plan, the safe, stable option she keeps in her back pocket while she pursues emotional highs elsewhere. Initially, it might not be obvious. She texts you when she's bored, calls when her situationship collapses, or makes you feel like you're her sanctuary. And because you're older, more patient, more understanding, you lean into that role, thinking perhaps she's just not ready now, but she'll come round. But this mindset is a slow-acting poison, because what's truly happening is that you're being used as a placeholder. You're her emotional filler. someone who provides the validation and support she isn't receiving from the men she genuinely desires to pursue. And the moment those men reappear, you're sidelined again. A Stoic man doesn't tolerate lukewarm interest. He doesn't cling to someone who only reaches out to him when it's convenient. He recognizes when the dynamic is imbalanced and calmly disengages. There's no drama, no emotional breakdown, just a quiet, powerful decision that states, if I'm not your priority, I'm not your option. And that decision, walking away from being the cup, is what reclaims your power. Because the moment you agree to be the support system for someone who has no intention of building something real with you, you surrender your self-respect. You begin to diminish yourself just to remain in her orbit, even though the center of her attention is always elsewhere. Consider this example. She cancels plans with you, but still wants to FaceTime late at night just to chat, or she vents about other men, then says things like, I don't know why I always feel better after talking to you. That's not affection. It's utility. You're not the one she's excited about. You're the one who makes her feel emotionally nourished when everything else is falling apart. And as flattering as that might feel in the moment, it's a dead end. Our Stoic man doesn't revolve around someone else's chaos. He builds a life that's sufficiently full, rich, and solid that he doesn't need to be chosen. He simply chooses what aligns with his peace. Anything less, he walks away quietly, completely, and never looks back. Point 7. Never lose your mission. There is nothing more self-destructive for a man, especially an older one, than losing sight of his mission for the attention or affection of a woman. And when that woman is young, vibrant, unpredictable, and full of emotional intensity, it's easy to drift off course. This is the final advice that changes the game. You start skipping the gym because she wants to stay in bed. You postpone a meeting because she had a rough morning and just needs you. You stop creating, building, leading, all in the name of being available. And little by little, without even realizing it, your life begins to orbit hers. Your goals take a backseat. Your structure softens. Your edge dulls. And the very thing that initially made you attractive, your direction, your purpose, disappears. A Stoic man understands that his mission is non-negotiable. It's not something he sets aside to make a relationship work. It's the bedrock of his life. Without it, he becomes an angerless vessel, vulnerable to the mood swings of whoever holds his attention that week. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, who are building something, with or without them. And when you abandon that path to chase connection, you don't gain love, you lose respect, especially from her, because even if she doesn't articulate it, she feels it. When a man starts prioritizing her above his path, she stops seeing you as a leader and begins to see you as just another man willing to diminish himself. Consider the contrast between a man who says, I can't talk right now, I'm deeply immersed in a project, versus one who instantly picks up every call, cancels plans, and rearranges everything to be present. The first man is living with purpose. The second is living for approval. And she can perceive the difference. The truth is, if a woman genuinely cares about you, she will want you to remain loyal to your mission. She will admire your discipline, even if it means less time with her. But if you sacrifice that for her, you don't become more desirable. You become the man who lost himself trying to grasp something that can only be given freely. A Stoic man remains unmoved by fleeting emotion when it risks future regret. He walks his path, regardless of who walks beside him. Conclusion. So, here's the truth, and I want you to sit with it for a moment.